Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see a few of you here that we met at the conference. This will be, in essence, a quick kind of recap of some of the work that we did at the conference, at the workshop, and we'll be able to go into a little bit more detail about some of what we do, just to kind of expand on a few different topics that we didn't have as much time to cover. So, just to give a little context here. So we call it Empowering All Californians. The workshop that we did at WorkCon went into a lot more detail about the different tools and so on. But today's agenda is still it's me, Alex Andrei, I'm CEO of Big Interview, Steve Reuter, our VP of Partnerships, and Summer Lowery, our Director of Education and Workforce. We'll be doing a bit more an in-depth kind of walkthrough over some of the other AI features and functionality that we have. So the agenda today is pretty straightforward. It's just touch on briefly some of the tools that we covered during the workshop, but we won't spend as much time on those because we are going to be sending off a big resource list for folks to have handy that we're going to keep updated over time as new tools bubble up. But just to give everyone a little bit of a preview, or at least a little context on who we are in case you don't know much about Big Interview. How we like to phrase it is that we're not a tech company. We're not tech folks specifically that happen to start a company, that we're actually career professionals that recognize the problem. And that really set the tone for the culture and the ideas and the impact and how we chose to build this company. Because ultimately it's all about this philosophy that we have that folks only know how to do better once they get exposed to the right information, the right tools, the right resources, and that's not always accessible for a lot of folks, right? So, our mission in a nutshell is about leveling the playing field. And where we first made our name was actually in higher ed. So when we started Big Interview, the original kind of problem we were solving had to be at the kind of college, community college, university level, where all these schools have a career center that's usually understaffed, underfunded, and there might be like five people trying to help 10,000 kids or 10,000, 20,000 students. And it's not a very scalable thing, right? So we've been fortunate enough to be in over 700 now higher ed partners, colleges, community colleges, high schools, and over 40 of those in California proper. And at the state level, as we got more traction and more visibility, we got on the radar of workforce development. So happy to say that we're in 10 state workforce systems now, ranging from Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania. All of them have their own kind of version of for better or worse, kind of a Cal jobs of their own, where the average person can avail themselves of the state's resources to help with their career planning, job search. And in these 10 states specifically, they have a section on interviewing and where the resource that the public gets to be able to improve their interview skills and their resume, kind of basically their resume writing skills, as it were. And in California proper, actually, we have a bit of traction in the California Department of Rehabilitation. So there's a few different areas for the DOR that we work with already, and it seems to be expanding now. Great. So when we talk about the tools that we covered during the workshop, one of the things that we talked about was to give context as you're evaluating the universe of things that are coming down the pipeline. How do you really make sense of everything that's coming at you, this tidal wave of all these different resources? And it's to have either a formal or at least a mental checklist of what to consider when you're really evaluating these things. Do they meet some of these important criteria, right? Are they equitable and inclusive? Can they be adaptive? Do they have strong data privacy? Now, this is always a big issue because a lot of companies could be new and cool, but they play, fast and loose with some of the data privacy considerations. Depending on the scale, how many folks you're serving, is it scalable? Can you measure the impact that it's having? And is there any kind of evidence to show that the results there, that it's proven, that it's not just theory, that there is some sort of actual hard data to kind of point to the fact that there's some efficacy to a particular tool. There's a lot of cool looking things out there, but do they actually have, some results that they can measure? And the topics that we covered during the workshop, and again, this is something we're gonna send off to you. We're gonna send you the slide deck, and we'll also send you a big master resource list. Cover the topics covered these 5 big areas, right? So equity and bias reduction, career path and job matching, digital accessibility, data insights, and also some of the elements that are usually not addressed a lot, which is some of the psychological hurdles and challenges that folks have during their job search. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on all these, but I just wanted to give you a little preview here of the different kinds of companies, the whole host of great resources that we've collected, all kinds of interesting and unique approaches. And like, for example, this one with the career path and job matching, there's a whole host of niche sites that cover different populations. Some more are focused on Black and Latino and underserved communities, some more focused on folks that are on the spectrum or neurodiverse, some more folks on candidates around disability. So it's really encouraging to see that there's an appetite for a whole host of tools. This one's also pretty gosh darn cool. Google's Career Dreamer is a fun one that we talked about during the workshop, which is really neat because you can put some different little keywords in there about your interest and what direction you might want to go. And this is something that a lot of states pay money for already, some variant of this. They pay a lot of money. Google has this as a free resource that's really nifty, and you get this inspiration for a whole host of other occupations that might not have been on your radar. And on top of that, as soon as like you start exploring one of those occupations, it then takes the next step of also showing you some jobs, some openings that are available for that kind of new occupation you might not have considered. We covered topics on accessibility, folks that are sight impaired or hearing impaired, and topics on the different equity insight tools that are out there. So again, what's really great is that I'm going to send you, you don't have to belabor the point here, but I'm going to send you a whole host of resources that are available that you can peruse. And some of them are free, many of them are free, some of them are paid, but at least you kind of see what the menu looks like at a glance. And so that's a nutshell description, a little bit of who we are, a little recap and roundup of the different tools that we covered. And then what we didn't get a chance to really go into as much detail about is how we utilize AI to help folks, both in their job search in general, their career planning, their resume writing, and where we first made our name, which is on the interviewing front. And with that, I will pass things over to Summer Lowery, our Director of Education and Workforce. We may have met at the conference.
Wonderful.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex, for sharing that. I'm going to kind of pivot and do sort of a deep dive into Big Interview. So for those that had not had the opportunity to kind of see who we are and what we're doing, I'm going to do sort of a deep dive. So we're going to spend some time taking a look at the various resources that we offer. I will ask for questions to kind of come at the end. If you have something, pop it in the chat. We're more than happy, but I'm just going to kind of go through this for the sake of time, and then we'll definitely have time for questions at the end of the demonstration. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kick things off. You all can see it, correct? Wonderful. Okay. So as Alex mentioned, we are career folks that kind of got into the tech space. So just a little bit about us. Our co-founder, Pamela Skillings, she's actually known as one of the top interview coaches in the country. So as you are exploring our platform today, keeping in mind that all of the content, all of the curriculum is really stemming from her expertise in the field. So again, it's really important to understand that the information that the job seekers are going to be receiving throughout our platform is really stemmed in her expertise as a subject matter expert. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hop into the platform, and I'm going to go off camera here because I will be back on shortly. So when an individual logs into Big Interview, they're going to land here on this dashboard. And I'm going to start first as a job seeker, just to kind of familiarize you what it might be like if I am a job seeker coming into Big Interview for my very first time. So you will see here that we have a curated dashboard that's going to be tailored specifically to their needs. And if it is their very first time coming in, we do have a little getting started video just to kind of familiarize them with our platform. The interview prep tools are broken up into 2 main categories. We have our learn area and our practice area. Taking a look first at our learn area, we have our interview curriculum. Now, one of the things that really sets us apart from other platforms out there is a very robust learn area. And the reason for that is it's really important for job seekers to have an understanding of interview best practices before they go in and actually record and practice. So we have these two main tracks, the fast track and the mastery track. So taking a look at, say, the mastery track as an example, you're going to find 50 video lessons covering every facet of interviewing. So we cover topics such as analyzing the job description. Oops, someone else is joining. I'm also hosting this, so give me a minute. Analyzing the job description, overcoming nerves, how to sell yourself. We're going to dive deep into acing common interview questions, a lot of emphasis on behavioral interview questions as well. And the nice thing is that individuals can kind of watch a video from start to finish, hop around and manage this area as they choose. We do offer the ability for the job seeker to adjust their playback speed, and we do offer closed captioning in both English and in Spanish. You'll see here within this learn area, we have a quizzes if they like to kind of reinforce what they've learned, and they can practice directly from this learn area. So everything you'd expect in a nice modern video curriculum. But one of the things that we have found is that not everyone enjoys watching videos. So for those that do prefer to read instead of watch videos, we've adapted everything into the written form. Going a little bit further within this learn area, we have created tailored content to really guide and assist individuals wherever they might be within their journey. So job search curriculum for those looking to gain assistance on enhancing their networking skills or creating a LinkedIn profile, negotiation curriculum if they're a little further along looking to negotiate their salary, even a first 90 days for those that do land that dream job and are looking to focus on those first 90 days of employment. And then we have our interview playbooks. And as you can see here within these interview playbooks, we've actually created different curriculum to really address the specific challenges of different interview types. So you can see here that we cover topics such as military transition, perhaps they are a neurodiverse, English as a second language, justice involved. So as you can see here, we've created this different curriculum to really make preparation more focused and effective. So now they have a nice foundation, they're ready to begin practicing. They come right over here to practice. And this is going to be our mock interview area. And we'll look at our general questions first. So this is where you'll find our interviewers. They're going to range from standard through tough, basically level 1 through level 3. We have top 10 questions, entry level, mid-level, all the way down through internship and elevator pitch. And the nice thing is that the job seeker can kind of pick and choose where they want to begin, but we'll go ahead and kick things off at our entry level standard questions as an example. So this is where the job seeker's video web camera would be. This is our interviewer. Here's the question up above. And if I click on tips, this is just going to provide for the job seeker a little bit more information about the question, perhaps a sample answer just to kind of help them get started. In terms of technology, we want to keep it simple. So we have our play button, our record button, back our previous question, then our next question. So now I'll show you how it works. I click play. So she's asking the questions. You can't hear it because I have headphones in, but as a job seeker, I would be able to hear her. And I would just simply click start recording. And at this point, I would just go ahead and respond. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Oops, I froze a little bit. To be here, I appreciate you taking a look at my resume. I think I'm a fantastic fit for your organization. Click stop recording. So at this point, I have the ability to play it back. I can delete it. I can re-record it. When I click save answer, though, that will live over in the My Videos area. And I'm going to touch on this in just a few minutes, but in the My Videos area, a job seeker can self-review, share videos with others, and then we do have a built-in AI feedback feature as well, and I'll show you all of that here in just a moment. But let's say I'm happy with my answer. I just click next question. And as a job seeker, I would have the ability to stop and really focus in on those questions that I'm finding challenging, perhaps re-record myself. But if I am feeling confident, I can always kind of skip through and go through the whole process. So going a little bit further within our practice area, we are going to take a look at some of the industry-specific questions that we offer. So you'll see here in our most popular occupations, we have everything from accounting, art and design, engineering, healthcare, legal, nonprofits, technology, and we're constantly adding to these as well. And for any of those that are here today that are employment specialists or case managers looking to gain further assistance, we do have the ONET database. As you can see here, if I were to do a keyword search here, there is that code that is affiliated with it as well. If we take a look at our most popular occupations, such as healthcare as an example, you're going to find various job professions and job descriptions within the healthcare field. And if I were to click on, say, medical assistant as an example, you're going to find competencies related to that field. We also have questions based on competencies and skill sets. You can see here everything from adaptability through critical thinking, emotional intelligence, logic, people management, work ethic. And then as you can see here, going a little bit further within the practice set, we have admissions questions, government, as well as veterans.
Oh, and one thing, Summer, I was going to mention is
Yes.
that, we also curated a specific version of Big Interview for the K-12 kind of CTE track. So everything you're seeing here, there's another version of Big Interview that's also aligned for high schools as well.
Thanks, Alex.
Sure.
All right, let's dive into the review section. So right over here in my videos, this would be a job seeker's entire video collection. Every time they save the video, it lives here in the My Videos. Now, first off, I have the ability to review myself. So as a job seeker, I could rate myself on 10 verbal and nonverbal cues, everything ranging from making proper eye contact, shows professionalism, appropriate attire, and so forth. So when I click save and I come back up here, I can say I gave myself a 3.7, and that's important for the student or the job seeker to understand if they're progressing or not progressing. One of the nice things is that the job seeker can also share videos with others. So imagine if that job seeker is working with an employment specialist, a case manager, or even wants to share it with a family member, they can simply choose those videos they'd like to send over. They click share now. All of those videos would be in this one link, so they can simply copy it and send out externally, or they can pop in an email address, any sort of message, click share now. And then instantaneously, those videos are sent over to the person on the other end. So imagine if you're, again, an employment specialist or case manager, you receive this link. You can see all of these videos here. You can see if others have reviewed it. But then most importantly, as the case manager or employment specialist, you can then rate that job seeker on those same 10 verbal and nonverbal cues. You can also think about this being utilized in higher education or in the classroom type of setting, if they're going to share it with a professor or teacher, whoever that might be. Pop in their additional feedback, name, click save, and then instantaneously, the job seeker is then notified that their videos have received a review. And one of the nice things, and I'll show you this here in just a few minutes, is that whenever they're sharing their videos, again, as I mentioned, it does not have to be someone within your organization, but the nice thing is that you can go in on the back end and actually add in feedback to your job seeker. So you're not dependent upon the job seeker sending videos to you directly. You as an administrator can always go in on the back end and provide additional feedback on their video responses as well. So Leslie, let's talk AI. So as Alex was mentioning, we do also offer AI feedback on their video responses. So let's go ahead and go back to My Videos and I'll show you what that looks like. So we're gonna see this AI score. And if I scroll down, some of these videos have badges, gold badge here, bronze badge here. If I were to click on one of these badges, here's instant feedback via AI. So we'll see here feedback on overall performance, answer relevance, pace of speech counter, vocabulary, power word, filler words, pause counter, eye contact, negative tone length, authenticity, volume, and lighting. Now, more importantly for the job seeker, after they've seen their feedback here, is for them to come in and take a look at their action plan. And this is where we've gone into detailed feedback on each individual area. So for example, overall performance, I received a good job. You're gonna see here we have feedback on the alignment with the role, both strengths and improvements, clarity of my response, confidence in my response, as well as an optimized answer as well. So again, this is just looking at the overall performance of my video response, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other categories. So for example, pace of speech, you're gonna see that we get very detailed. For example, I had 151 words per minute, which falls into the natural and engaging range of 115 to 180 words. And again, just giving detailed feedback on each category. Now, certain categories such as eye contact can actually be deactivated if it doesn't fit the needs of all of your population. But again, we do find that most of these categories are very relevant, especially the counter, everyone's favorite, as well as authenticity, where we're really making sure that your job seekers are not sounding scripted or robotic and that they actually sound natural in their response.
The joke that we make is you can have ChatGPT write you the perfect answer, but if you sound like a robot delivering it, it's not gonna play well.
Exactly. So, and one of the nice things is after I've kind of checked my responses, I can always click re-record again, and that's just going to take me right back to the starting point where I go through the process once again in hopes of enhancing my score. All right, let's talk about the admin area. So we're going to hop over to the admin area. I'm just going to give you kind of a high level overview here. One of the nice things is whatever you're seeing kind of in our default dashboard, you can always further customize. So these are sort of off the shelf analytics that we're going to provide to an organization in terms of, top users, user growth, top lessons watched, We also will talk about different engagement analytics. And again, with video AI, we have specific analytics as well as the resume AI, which I'm going to get to. So again, very robust analytics that we can pull on the back end. But again, this is just sort of a snapshot of our default dashboard. As I mentioned earlier, you can always look up job seekers on the back end, and this is extremely beneficial, again, if we're thinking about utilizing this in some type of classroom type of setting, or if you're working with individual job seekers, you can always come in on the back end. You could add in a review here as the advisor or employment specialist or case manager. And then you can also see here, not only do you see the color of the badge, but a score if you did need it for any grading purposes. In the
And the
interviews, we
scores
have our
are visible only on to the staff, by the way, because we purposefully made it only be 3 tiers for the user on the front end, just to not get into the weeds on the scoring, but for the staff and for the organization to be able to kind of track progress over time, they see the actual values as well.
In our custom set. So this is one of our favorite features. And as Steve likes to say, this is sort of a blank canvas for you all. So if you imagine that, I'll use the example that you are working with your justice involved individuals. And I know there's an organization in California called Breaking Free Industries where they actually look to hire on those that were justice involved. So you can see here, you could actually create specific tailored questions that you know that company would be asking. So again, you can take a look at kind of our general questions, maybe some industry specific or competency specific, but most importantly, you can come in as the administrator and actually create your own questions. As you can see here, this would be you asking that question. So we click start recording. It's going to count down 3, 2, 1. Why are you interested in working for this company? Click stop recording. When you save this question, though, it's then going to prompt you as the admin to type in that question. So why are you interested in working for this company? You could also add in any tips that you like as well. So again, to really further assist that job seeker. And then when you save this custom set here, so you'll see it living here on this back end with all these other custom sets that you've created. But most importantly for the job seeker, where they are going to find it, is they're going to find it back in our practice area that we were looking at earlier. We had those standard sets of questions that I took a look at, and then we have our custom sets. So there's your Breaking Free Industries. And again, these would be all the relevant custom sets of questions to your organization specifically. And then one other key feature in the admin area when it comes to our interview prep tools is going to be our interview assignment. Now, this is a great feature to think about if you are working with individual job seekers, if you're looking to manage a caseload of individual job seekers or a caseload of job seekers, you could actually create an assignment where you are creating a tailored experience for that individual. So we can just use an example of maybe you are doing it for, maybe you're a smaller organization and you want to just do it for one individual. So we'll call this individual John Smith. You could add a little description here for him to give him an understanding of what this assignment is all about. Maybe John has an upcoming interview and you want to go ahead and set a due date for that. You can set time limits. So if you want to ensure that he speaks under 2 minutes, if you want to set a take limit, so you know that he only has one opportunity to record himself to really simulate that real interview. So again, a whole host of additional settings down below. But what we did want to highlight here is how you can actually tailor and build out this assignment specifically to John's needs. So you can come in and you can actually pick and choose questions. So kind of similar to what I was showing you with the custom sets area. You can come in and do industry specific questions, competency specific questions, but most importantly, you can pull from those custom questions or custom sets. So maybe John is going to be interviewing with Breaking Free Industries. So since you've already created a custom set of questions for him, and apologies, we've created a lot of custom sets over the years. I'm going to scroll on down to the one that I just created. There we go. You could just go ahead and add that set in. You can move these questions around in terms of the order that you prefer. And you could even add in curriculum. So if there is specific curriculum that you really want to ensure that John is familiar with, you can go ahead and pop that in there. So maybe John is military transition, or maybe he is, again, as we showed you, adult reentry. So again, you can actually pop in these specific playbooks to ensure that John is not only answering the specific questions that you would like him to, but also watching the curriculum that would be of benefit to him as well. And then as you are kind of wrapping up the assignment, You can further customize it. So again, you can come in and pick and choose the questions, or the way you wanted to provide feedback. You could add in your own criteria as well if you have specific criteria. And then you could simply just invite him directly into this assignment. So you could just pop in John's name, first name, last name, email. If you were working with a group of individuals, you could upload a group of job seekers through the CSV, or then there will also be a code that you can give them that you would also. And then just to give you an idea of what it looks like from the job seeker's perspective, we're going to come over here. They would just click on assignments. Once that loads up, they pop in and they would have access to their assignment. So what I want to briefly do before I kind of wrap things up on that front is to give you an idea of what it might look like if you are managing an assignment from the back end. So let's imagine now that you are a case manager or an employment specialist, and you have a whole group of individuals that you're managing. This, in essence, is what it would look like on the back end as an assignment. So these would be all of the job seekers that are participating in this particular assignment. You can see here those that you need to review, maybe if they're currently in progress at this time. And then the nice thing is that you can come in, click review now. You would then be able to watch the video. You'd be able to provide your feedback. You could see if others have provided feedback, if the job seeker themselves have, and then more importantly, you can also see the AI will pick up on those, as well as it will review the entire assignment. So that's sort of an overview of the interview prep tools. What I did want to comment on before I talk about our resume tools is that everything that I just shared with you all is fully translated in Spanish. So I did mention that we have closed captioning in Spanish, but do know that everything that I showed you, both from the job seeker perspective as well as the administrator perspective, is fully translated in Spanish.
So a lot of the
All right.
benefit that that all the different organizations, whether they're at the school level or at the workforce level, is that there's staff that is usually overwhelmed with a caseload of people, students, of customers that they have, folks that are out of work, students that are, going for their first jobs, whatever it is, and this is a way for them to scale their impact and make an easier time of their existing workload. So that's one of the big reasons different organizations use the software, is to help support the staff do their work a little bit more easily. And of course, there's the other side of that equation, which is that it's available 24/7. So if somebody's doing some work on their own as a student or as someone that's unemployed or needing some assistance, they can still do the work on their own as well. So it has both sides of the equation that we're helping with. So that's ultimately the main benefits that that the states and the schools get from using us.
Thanks, Alex. Okay,
Sure.
so I'm going to wrap things up taking a look at our resume tools. So imagine, in essence, everything that we just saw from the interview prep side, we have done that with the resume tools as well. So I did mention it in the learn area, but first off, we have a resume curriculum. This is going to show individuals how to write resumes, writing for robots, writing cover letters, and so forth. As an organization, if you have specific templates that you recommend to your job seekers, you can always upload them on the back end and they can find them here. And then we do have a resume builder. So this will allow for an individual to come in and actually create and build out a resume utilizing our resume builder. Now, if it is the very first time that a job seeker is coming in and they're needing to create a resume from scratch, they can simply choose one of our templates to get started. And if they would like to match their resume up against the job description from the beginning, they absolutely can. So you can see here, if I wanted to come in and actually tailor a resume from the start to a particular job, I can simply pop in that title. I can add in my own job description if I prefer, but then we also do have presets as well. So that's really making it convenient. And again, this will allow them to sort of tailor the resume to this job description from the beginning. If, on the other hand, we have a job seeker that's coming in for creating a resume and they don't want to necessarily tailor it to a specific job description and they just want to create a standard resume, they can absolutely do so as well. So you can kind of see here, once they come in and put in their contact information, they can add additional features such as their LinkedIn or personal website. And we're just going to guide them through the whole experience. So for example, something such as summary statement, if they are going to have a summary statement, again, they can always skip it if they like. If they're going to have a summary statement and if they want to start from scratch, they absolutely can. Or you'll see here on the right, some added benefit of this feature is that we do have presets here on the right. So they can simply choose one of those presets, and then you can see here they can kind of move forward with that. Same thing with work experience. So if they come in, we'll use this example of I was a lifeguard. I'm going to input my information. But maybe at this next step, I need a little assistance. I know that I obviously was trying to make sure people didn't drown, but what else did I kind of do in this role? So as you can see here on the right, we do give them some recommendations of different duties that they may have had. And one of the benefits is if I click improve with AI, if I say, for example, add in accomplishments, at this point, it's going to then rephrase things. And you'll see here, then I can add some of my own accomplishments that I had as this role as a lifeguard. So again, we're just kind of assisting them along the way with each category. Skills is another important one, same concept. I can simply pop in lifeguard. You're gonna see here all of these different skills that I may have had. And then I can also pop those in there. And once we get to the final stage, the nice thing is that if I wanted to change the sections, the order, if I want to add in any custom sections as well, I can absolutely do so. And then once we get to the final stage, you'll see here, this is an example of one of the templates. Now we do offer various applicant tracking system fits, as we call our applicant tracking system friendly templates here on the right or left so that they can choose from. And then once I save that, I can adjust even further with my heading font size, body font size, margin spacing, date format. And then lastly, I can download into a PDF or Word doc. So again, that's our builder. And lastly,
And
to wrap
what's
things,
I was gonna
oh,
say
go ahead.
one nice thing about that is that the form we specifically chose very simple templates for the resume because there is a temptation for folks to try to make them as fancy as possible without knowing that most employers are using their own AI to filter out the resumes. And a lot of times when they have these fancy resumes that have columns and other weird stuff in them, it actually hurts their chances of actually getting seen by a human. Because 80% of resumes never get seen by a human, the system will just chuck them for whatever reason. So it really is an arms race when it comes to this kind of stuff. So when we're giving people some aesthetic choices here, but we don't want to make the resume accidentally hurt them by having too much fanciness in it. Make it simple, make it clear. They can still make some edits to the aesthetics, but don't overcomplicate it so you actually get a chance at being seen, by a real person.
All right, thanks, Alex. And then just to wrap things up, I just wanted to highlight our resume AI feature. This will actually allow an individual to come in and scan their resume into our system and get instant feedback via AI. One of the nice things is that they can match it up against a job description. So if I were to take a look at one that I've done previously, we'll take a look at this banquet server. And I click view detailed feedback. This, in essence, is what it would look like as a sort of high level overview for the individual. And once they click view detailed feedback, this is going to be their feedback. So on the right will be the job seeker's resume, and then on the left will be their feedback. So for example, summary statement needs some work. As I scroll down, we're going to see some AI feedback. And as I continue to scroll down, we're going to see some best practices. Now, the beauty of these best practices is they can actually be tailored on the back end by an administrator. So in essence, if you imagine utilizing this as an employment specialist or a instructor, you can actually tailor and customize the best practices so it really fits the needs of the individuals that you're working with. And we're just going to break down each category. Any spelling error would be highlighted in red and the recommendation would be in blue. Credibility, this is really going to ensure how a job seeker articulates themselves in regards to work experience or skills relevance. Perhaps they, don't have the correct action verb. Here's some AI feedback. And again, always those best practices below. If we look at something such as ATS fit is going to be, again, matching that job description against the resume. So the nice thing is when a job seeker comes into this tool, they can actually pop in a job description and it will match it up against the resume. And as Alex mentioned, giving them that ATS fit. You'll see here needs some work. So this is highlighting the keywords that they have not matched up for in red, keywords they have matched up for in green. So in essence, it's ensuring that when this individual is applying for this job, they're going to say, maybe I should add some of these keywords into my resume to really ensure that I get past that ATS and I get into the hands of humans. And we do know that about 99% of Fortune 500 companies are using some type of ATS to screen out applicants. So again, this is really ensuring that they will match up for that job.
And get a better chance at actually getting seen by a
In the
human.
humans, yes, exactly. Get into the hands of the humans. And
Yeah.
then lastly, with formatting, again, a little exaggerated, but font styles, font sizes will be called out, margin spacing,
Awesome.
date formatting, and so forth. So yeah, so that's just kind of an overview. There's a whole customization piece on the back end for Resume AI. I won't go too much into it, but I just wanted to give you kind of a sneak peek of what it looked like when an individual scanned their resume into the system and got feedback. So I'll pause and ask any questions on anything that I've shared today.
We know we
Just a
fire
little
hosed
bit of
you.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, fire. And there's a quiz, by the way, at the end of the
That's
webinar.
right.
So hopefully we're jotting down notes. So, but yeah, we fire hose you with a lot of info here. But what are you all curious about on anything that we covered today in terms of curriculums, different tools? Some are focused on the interviewing side, some are focused on the resume side, some are focused on the administrator side.
Yeah, I got a question.
Please.
Max here. Steve, I think you said hi to me earlier, but I was
Yeah,
having,
good to see you, Max.
yeah, you too. My Bluetooth was acting up and I don't know what's going on, but
No
hi.
worries, buddy.
Good to see you guys again. Have you guys done a uh a test where you brought people that weren't tech savvy, people were tech savvy,
Mhm.
and had them run through this the AI part, the resume, um, the interviewing process, and got feedback on the length of time that it took for one to figure out stuff versus someone that's not too tech savvy,
Mhm.
needing more guidance. Because uh, what's great about this program is it saves a lot of time, right, from case managers also. But then there's also the time to teach people who come into our office, and we have a lot of people that come in and want to use our services. So that's what I'm trying to like gear it down towards. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
if I do a workshop and I have 10 people that we can go through and just do the AI mock interviewing process, I mean, will I need to like set aside like 10, 15 minutes? I mean, because to me, this is all the flow of it. I understand it. But someone that if we let them use the program on their own when they log in, that's where I'm kind of get at. Like someone that's not tech savvy versus tech savvy, and
Mhm.
kind of like a report on that.
Sure. So when we built the software, we actually did a lot of research on how people learn and not purely catering it to the general population, but we work with a lot of different populations that have different challenges, either because of digital literacy, but also because of like the DOR. We work with a lot of nonprofits, DORs, as in, the rehabilitation that folks have, maybe a learning disability or some other trauma that they had where they absorb information more slowly and need more time. And so what these organizations really like is that the technology is adaptable to that. So whether it's as simple as watching a video and be able to adjust the playback to something slower, or even the buttons being very, very straightforward. The joke that we make sometimes is that if you've used a VCR at some point in the last 50 years, you already know how to use Big Interview because it's basically play, record, stop,
Right.
rewind, previous and that. And then we really made it a concerted effort to keep the learning curve as low as possible, particularly on the interviewing front. Um, if you notice on the resume side, it's a newer feature. There is probably a little bit more there that's more involved, I would say, partly because there's just a lot more information that is coming at you. It's not on the screens, there's a lot more text, right? You have the resume and you have the feedback. So, that's something that we're always looking to refine. But like Summer had mentioned, the functionality in the back end can in fact be curated to make it simpler. So even though so you don't have information overload. So in some of the organizations, some of the schools that we work with have specific choices, some for different reasons that is meant to give less information. Like, don't necessarily spoon feed everything for the person, but make it simpler so that you're just giving them enough help, but not over explaining things. And to that point, we can do something similar where we just give simpler instructions, even when it comes to improving the resume. But on the interviewing front, it was built entirely with that in mind, where we would always do research and what are they called? User testing with folks to be able to kind of see where they're jumping in, where they're having any issues. And we would record sessions of how people are toggling through the navigation and making the UX as simple as possible. And so that's where the idea of like, well, what frame of reference do people have? Or VCR, right? So it's like play, record, previous question, next question. Or when they watch a video, play, stop. So we really try to piggyback off of established behaviors that are pretty rudimentary, regardless of your digital literacy. And
Hey,
to
Alex,
take it
let
a
me.
step further to even refine that a little bit, we're adjusting it a little further. Yes, Steve. Yes. What did you want to
Yeah,
add?
I just want to add, so a lot of the tech that you saw from the admin side is much more, I don't want to say complicated, but deeper as far as the feasibility and the functionality.
Oh, okay, that was admin
But
side. Okay.
yeah, like what you just saw about the custom sets, like, the custom sets and navigating all of that was not the job seeker's side of it. This is the
Okay.
case
Okay.
manager.
Okay.
And
Not the
I think that a lot of what, kind of like this is a little too techy is, from the case manager or guidance counselor or business specialist of your DOR, they receive a level of training that allows them to navigate the degree of complexity that they wish to provide to their job seekers or their clients, learners, whatever you call them. And I just want to give you like a really recent data point about this. So in Maryland, who's been a longtime partner of Big Interview since 2020, they put 60,000 people through the program, and they're averaging 4 to 5 weeks shaved off of the job search and 2 to 3 less interviews. Now, they are not a set it and forget it type of state. They have some type of structure to how job seekers approach utilizing Big Interview. Hands down, the fast track, which is about an hour and a half of curriculum, is the most widely adopted and utilized curriculum / playbook that we have. This is what a significant majority of our client base utilizes.
And
So
it counts
keeping
as
that
an
in
employment
mind,
activity
what
also for their RIOA
what
reporting and other things. So there's some elements of Big Interview that count toward some of those other activities, other requirements as well. Okay, yes, Steve.
So what I would like to point is that Maryland's been doing this for 5 years, and they've created an environment which is semi-guided. We'll call it that. Okay. And last month they had about 800 job seekers go through Big Interview, new job seekers. Texas started with us in April. They are doing it for the RESEA job seekers, high risk, if you're familiar with the program. And they're structured it for 2 assignments. That's it, right? They've been doing this since April 18th, Max. They've got 600 people who are utilizing it because they are approaching it with a very low digital literacy bar that they are controlling. They have full customization to allow whatever type of initiative. If you want to provide 6 hours of curriculum that is broken up into 10 weeks, you can curate that, Max. If you want to have, the fast track broken, which are the most prevalent questions and the most common interview skills that anyone is going to have to master to secure employment faster,
right.
you have the ability to tailor that to your needs. So go ahead,
Okay,
Alex.
cool.
One more thing about Texas, Max, that you might find interesting and touching on what Steve mentioned is that to take a step further to simplify everything, they're not even allowing folks to do their own. I mean, you can, of course, browse through the site, but they're literally telling someone, here's your assignment, here's your assignment code, and it includes the lessons that they have to watch, and it includes the practice they have to do, and that's it. So you don't have to even think or have much more of a learning curve above and beyond simply executing on what's been asked of you, which is to go through this A to Z curated custom track that Texas chose to build out, which we would help them build out. Here are the lessons, here are the practice, here are the questions to do, and they're doing it by workforce board, I believe. I think they created specific assignments for each workforce geographic area, in essence, that can kind of also
Well,
mix and match the data a little bit.
It's universal for what they're doing right now, where they're keeping it very consistent with the same questions to keep people from kind of exploring the platform in its full totality, because they're very focused on just kind of getting people the skills they need to secure employment. But I would also say, Max, you've got 10 states, hundreds of thousands of job seekers every month going through the platform, 2 million plus, 700 universities, high schools, nonprofits, and the California DOR. The range of digital literacy and physical impairments is, and including ELL, just like you've got people who have never seen a Chromebook, or recently exposed to a Chromebook because, they've been incarcerated for 25 years, who are utilizing this. So I would, if you need those types of like firsthand peer references, I'm happy to share some of the DOR folks, because I went to see Bethany Pine, who's from the San Joaquin DOR in LA at one of the shelters using it. And I'm telling you, when displaced LA fire victims who have disabilities are navigating Big Interview, it does give you an insight into the feasibility and the use case. I come from a background as being an administrator, a school principal, and a teacher. This, to me, if you're familiar with education, which you are, you know that there's an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. This is an individualized employment plan. This allows any job seeker to have the tools to help them secure employment, and you have control over that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you were a principal at that. That's pretty cool. So that was like one of my main questions to focus, is that we get a large variety of amount of people coming in, and if I wanted to set like just the AI interviewing process, that I could just allow someone to be like, okay, click, this is the type of industry I'm engaging in. I need to get like our RNs. Those are one of the hardest, most difficult questions to develop, because it's more on how would you handle this scenario, what would you be doing, and that was kind of one of struggles, because each hospital has its own way. But then we have people who just want to do office clerk, or I just want to do any kind of variety of stuff. So anyone that's coming in from outside, this is, we could set it up where they could take an hour doing the AI, reviewing it themselves, and then like, okay, they have understanding where the weaknesses and strengths, they can print it out. Maybe they need to come back again a couple more days later. But what I'm trying to get at is handling a mass amount of people that we can just bring in all the time, and then it gets to where, because I don't know if it's the admin side, so that's great to hear.
Yeah,
that we could set it up where it's just like click, 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 and that's it.
Right.
I think, Max, just to kind of address something, is that like we could take another kind of 30 minutes or 20 minutes to show you truly the job facing front of it, job seeker facing. But the other part of this is that, Big Interview is not a here's the contract, we'll see you in a year. We will provide you best practices, use cases from our vetted partners, and you will be handheld, white gloved throughout whatever utilization you want, and given that guidance. So, just that assurance that you're not just, hey, go figure it out, Max.
Right. Yeah. Because again, we're located in Yuba County. We're a small city, and we're in a very competitive economy here, and businesses, are looking to hire employees that have skills, and brushing up on these interviews and even the resume. I think that it'd be a great focus on, because if you're not getting an interview, what's the problem? Maybe it's your resume. So that's like the main goals, is for us to, where I see it, that helping out the public, helping our clients develop, these necessary tools to get them equipped with, making them more marketable in their profile.
Makes sense. I think Shannon had a question as well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Max, for that question, because I think it's very helpful because yeah, we're struggling with digital literacy on our side right now for our own training and trying to figure out how to support that. So thanks for asking that. I was wondering, so when I was talking with Steve and Summer at WorkCon, I was talking about some of the concern around the financial side. So the individuals that I'm a trainer, I train people to become certified Medi-Cal peer support specialists. And a lot of the individuals that come through our training fit a lot of the populations that you listed, either reentry, disability, they've been out of the workforce for a long time. So a lot of them have like zero or limited income. And then our program also as a nonprofit is very low budget as well. So we'd love to like refer individuals to the locations that already have Big Interview. So we have students come to us that are already connected to different schools in San Diego. So I saw UCSD, I saw SDSU, Cuyamaca College, the CSUs. Like it was great to see all of that.
SDSU is actually our first customer.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Out of the 700, it was like a very yeah.
That's awesome. So is it through the career centers at the college?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So we could just refer them to that. And then we also have a lot of people connected to DOR already as well. Is that all of California DOR has
Not
access?
yet. We're getting there, but yeah, right now we are expanding, but it's not statewide, but that's hopefully where we'll be in short order. And Shannon, just so you know, any of your clients who are no longer active but are alumni, also if their school partnered with Big Interview and are still active and they still have their university or higher ed email address, alumni get access for the life of the partnership. So even if they've graduated or they, are still kind of out and about in the world, still checking their college email, they can still utilize this. And
Awesome.
Shannon, as a nonprofit, we put together, I've got specific pricing that I can share with you that is nonprofit pricing that is designed specifically for low caseloads. Like the first tier is, the silver or the bronze package that's up to like 50 learners, 50 job seekers. So we have a full range of pricing structures, everything from per individual on a monthly seat basis, all the way to you've got 150,000 people in Florida, so we need a price. So we can work with you on what your organization's budget constraints are to find a solution.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Steve. And I know Steve and Summer, you had both kind of mentioned that a bit at WorkCon as well, and we kind of talked about some of the different packaging. So it sounds like it's not in like San Diego DOR yet, but hopefully in the future. Is there a way to find other agencies as well that utilize Big Interview? Because I know you mentioned shelters, like we love encouraging the natural supports that people are already connected to, because like of our limited resources, we can't always meet every need that someone has. And we know that like treating the whole person as a whole person is vital for the sustainability in the workforce, but we have to focus on the training aspect. And some of the workforce placement, but not like the whole picture. So
we can, after the fact, we can send you a list of some of the schools that we work with and other organizations, nonprofits that are in California that we happen to work with, and see where they might align, or that we can put you in touch with. So yeah, we can take a look at that and see what we can send over to you.
And the other DOR, Shannon, if you have the contact information for the executive director, I am more than happy to reach out. Or if you want to express interest in that, we could try to work collaboratively to bring attention to this, leveraging kind of the partnerships that we have in San Joaquin, and I think Gilroy is changing their name to, what was it, Summer? But we've got
so they service San Jose and San Francisco. And so they're actually doing their onboarding training, I think, coming up beginning of June. And just on that note, Shannon, the Santa Barbara DOR is going to sit in on that as well because they're curious to see it. So definitely, if you have any connections with the, San Diego DOR, if you have anything, we'd love to introduce Big Interview to them as well. So yeah, and absolutely supporting you. And I love that approach of if they've already are, working with those various organizations or those colleges or universities to then kind of send them that way to have access to Big Interview. So.
Yeah, since some people might have access to the resources but not know they have access. I know Steve and Summer, you had both kind of mentioned that issue. Like some people don't really know they have access to these great resources. So so awesome. I don't have like a high contact at our local DOR, but I have some lower contacts and maybe they could help me
well,
move
you know
up.
what? I think Shane Anderson and Peter have become quite tremendous champions. So I and Summer, we'll just reach out and ask for who that person is, and we'll get an introduction set up.
Awesome, cool. And I can reach out on my end too to see if I can get any feelers, and definitely reach out if I get anything as well.